Eden Kaz here with Just Be, and we are about to take a spiritual boom. We are at an unprecedented time in human history where we are transitioning from 3D to 5D within the great spiritual awakening. This video and audio podcast is the place for you to find your truth beyond politics, your sovereignty, your voice. Let's kick up your vibration now. By the way, each episode ends with the Just Be practice to do just that. P.S. Just to know a little bit more about me, I'm a psychological empath, meditation master, dimensional healer, all the things to help you within this ascension. To learn more about me, visit me at EdenJustBe.com. And let's get this party started. Smile, would you mind? And then some dad. Oh, look at, oh. Okay, and then Aida, as always, and a lot of times I show this.
I love it.
This is how I get ready. If you want to do anything, shake it up or whatever. Eden with Just Be spiritual boom. So move away from the mic and about tear my headset off. Hey, and I know I have a plant sticking out of my head right now. So I'll fix that later. But right now it is just going to be. So everybody, welcome those listening and those viewing out of Florida. Aida Farhat. Hello.
Hello.
How you doing, Missy? Well, of course.
I'm excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you. We are going to have an in-depth discussion. I'm going to put these words out there, but things may change about the galaxy, always, the Great Awakening, Ascension, her story. And if I remember to end on a very positive note, again, what is going on right now is fabulous. So I want to hear Aida tell you that a little bit too. So I think I mentioned on the last show, oh, did I pause? Okay, I think I'm going. I think I mentioned on the last show, I started taking this Galactic Akashic Records class. So I was never drawn to the Akashic Records, but through many interesting things, this class came into my vision and it was like, that's what I need to do. And one of the things that I discovered, so we're on I think our 6 weeks. So Aida's in the class with me, which is how we met. And I'll go into that in a second. That Debbie, who is the teacher, the guide of this class, that the galactic portion of the Akashic Records was not open to humankind until recently because we were not ascended enough to have that information. That just blew me away and made me so excited that we are on this journey to discover more. And I haven't told this yet to Aida yet. There are going to be 4 folks from the class on my show leading up. It looks like the culmination that Debbie, and I've heard her last name Solaris and then Solaris. Do you know, Aida, how to pronounce it?
Solaris.
It is Solaris. Mm-hmm. Okay. And to tell you a little bit more about Debbie, she's an ET contactee, interdimensional traveler, and galactic historian. Through her ancestral connection with the Akashic Records, she has been receiving downloads of galactic historical information and universal spiritual knowledge. And a part of her mission is to help awaken others to their own divine selves and cosmic origins. Okay. And oddly enough, Aida and I connected on Facebook because we had similar friends. And lo and behold, we ended up taking this class together, which kind of blew my mind, which I'm like, okay, she has to be on the show because what are the chances? Because there are people all over the world who are taking this class. And I want to, on our conversation, I want to have us discuss when we talked last time to discuss ton and hotels and the word soldier. So hopefully we'll not forget about that. And then
okay, I'm sorry. What was that you said?
Do you remember when you talked about ton, the word TON and hotels,
TON,
and then the word soldier? So we'll circle back to that.
Okay.
Then at the end of this, for those who are watching, I started doing spiritual work with Todd and Brandon. So they've been on shows of mine in the past. So high dimensional work, we meet every Sunday. So I'm going to include a video that is just wild. So we were working together and the video started buzzing and clicking. It's just so neat because I want to enforce that I would not have been ready to take a class like this even 3 years ago. That I believed that there was more, yet I wasn't ready. I guess for everything, Ida, that we are learning, that, truly that our history is so much different than we have come to believe. It is just mind-blowing, and my ascension, everything on a daily basis. Things are changing. It is so exciting. Okay, so let me read a little bit about her so that we can start talking. So Ida experienced a life-changing Kundalini awakening in 2011, which changed her life in many ways. She is a multi-dimensional, I love this, navigator, an intuitive medium with a strong desire to assist others in their journey along the path of personal responsibility and spiritual development. So let me ask this first. How are you feeling about the class?
Well, I'm enjoying every bit of it. I've been on this journey of researching our galactic history prior to Debbie, although when I had a reading with her, which was super helpful, and I start watching some of her readings that she does on YouTube. So I knew that what I thought I knew, I know very little listening to
No,
her interviews.
no
Like,
kidding.
right. So I said to myself, okay, it's time. I've done all the 3D things, like, I have a small cleaning business. I've done ionic detoxes, removing toxins from people's bodies. And where's my heart at? My heart is, I want to know our history to the best of my ability, not just Earth history, but our galactic history. We live in a multiverse. I mean, and anybody, and this, I not saying this to be offensive in any way, and I respect everybody's views and what they value and their belief systems, but we have to remember these are belief systems that have been passed down for a long time. And we're finding that a lot of what we've been taught our history is just simply not the way it was or is even now.
Mm-hmm.
So it sparked my interest because I had my own experiences after having a Kundalini activation and being targeted. I said, okay, I want to know what's going on.
Okay, so
It
let's talk
became
about that.
personal for me.
All right,
Yes.
what happened to you?
So 2011, I had my activation, Kundalini activation, and I heard I got a download or information that said they are killing and raping my children. I'll never forget that. It was, I didn't like freak out or anything, but I knew that, okay, there's something happening here. I was seeing apparitions in the trees. I was having, I was using telepathy. Like all my gifts were online, and my light body was lit up. And when that happens, it sends information out, sound frequencies, colors, my aura. I don't know if I've
Oh,
right.
neat.
So they see when people are, there's a sound alert, basically like an alarm. Okay, somebody's woken up, and there are gatekeepers, and there are some in them, that don't necessarily want us to awaken.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyways, so I was encouraged to move into an apartment in downtown Silver Spring. This is where the TON comes in. The apartment. So, okay, the transition from I was at a halfway house because I was used in my lab in super soldier programs. I was told that I was using 220 and back. Um, why was I abducted? I have a Pleiadian soul, and I have a particular soul, and it's a very ancient soul. And I don't need to get into that, but I will say that I hold Magdalene DNA, and there are other women, supposedly a total of 9 women that actually hold the DNA. I know that there are other women that hold this energy imprint and really, tune into the divine feminine, and I love that. But the reason I emphasize that is
Hey, Ada,
because
can I stop you for a minute?
yes,
Okay, I just want to clarify to listeners and watchers again, that when I started this podcast, it's been almost a year and a half ago, it was to start telling the truth. And I always had then started having guests on, which always a spiritual bent. And I'm getting further and further into possibilities, for lack of a better word, because I really want to let everybody know there is so much more to this earth. There's so much more to you. And Ida really brings that to the table. So please, woman, go ahead.
Well, I appreciate that. I mean, as much as I think I know, I only know my own experience. I know what I know till I know something else or
Mhm.
something new, right? And I am not fixed on any. I just know what I experienced. I know the downloads I received. I was told who I was. I had no idea that I was going to walk into what I walked into, and I basically, I don't want to say, some would like to say that I sacrificed myself, and that's a whole nother. I mean, we don't have enough time today to get into the detail of it, but it's pretty fascinating. It's like a movie when I watch, when I
Right.
look, think back. But I was highly targeted. I mean, the military was jumping out from apartments next door to my building, taking pictures of me. My house was getting broke into. They were cutting hair out of my head. There was a black magic ritual done on my life, offering me up to Moloch. This is confirmed. I mean, the people that I've reached out to, I will say this, because I wasn't going for just an ordinary, I wanted answers. So I was talking to some people that are definitely in the know. And I asked the guy, Rick, so they sent this guy, and I asked him, I said, did they send you to be my handler? And he said, I don't know, Ida. So he was only willing to say certain things to me because he actually kind of asked me to back off because I was pressuring him to give me answers to, why are you in my life? You're not here just because you like me. I mean,
Mhm.
20 years, 5 years in the Pentagon, you're not here just because you like me. There's right. And all these anomalies start happening. And I can tell you that the way the military does their abductions is through Wi Fi. I had changed my email address, went away, went to Arizona, and I know when there's a Draco reptilian around you, you will know it if you are sensitive. I'm sensitive. It's a very musky, almost smells like urine smell. You'll notice it. And I was being followed everywhere I went. You mentioned TON, the condominium, um, the place where I was living, the condos were called the Silver 10. Now, I got this from Jay Parker, and I give all credit to him, but I learned a great deal from him too. I've kind of just like pulled information from different people and start making sense of some of my own
Okay, so
experiences.
who's Jay Parker?
Jay Parker was raised in Illuminati bloodline family, and he could be found on YouTube for those that may be interested in doing some research. But he mentioned that TON is a code for the Illuminati to find their people in these places. So when we think of TON, I lived in a condominium called the Silver 10 TON condominiums.
Okay, and there's
And
like the Hilton, Sheraton. Like when you really start looking, there are tons of tons.
that's right.
Mhm.
Washington, Wheaton. I grew up in Wheaton. I mean, I
Oh,
know
even
I'm
cities.
bloodline from both family, both
Okay.
sides. I'm the youngest of 12. Um,
Wait a minute. We didn't talk. So Ida and I had a phone conversation or a Zoom conversation before. You're one of 12. I don't
I'm
think we
one of
talked about that.
12. My father's
Woo!
Palestinian, my mother's Irish Scottish. Now, and I'll mention Simon Parks did help me. He mentioned that people with green eyes, this color green eyes, not all cut. So we know that only 2% of people on the planet have green eyes. I don't know if all of you know that, but there's a particular color green eyes, and I have them. And I am aware of some of my past lives. I mean, so some people don't believe in past lives. I know it to be a fact for myself. So, yeah, I'm the youngest of 12, and I grew up in the state of Maryland, and my name is Ida. The A is silent, which is the Ida. I was born on 8/7. Simon Parks was born on 9/7. So he claims to be the original male soul put into a, or I'm sorry, soul, divine masculine put into a Homo sapien sapien, and the female is 8/7, which happens to be my birthday.
Oh, wow. Okay. So
Uh,
for those of you that don't know Simon Parks is very, how would you say it, Ida? Very big in this movement, connecting consciousness, really attempting to wake people up, and there are a lot of people now who are put in these primary positions. Some of them are really good, some of them are not. So in practicing discernment, you know, it
I think
It,
that's
it
absolutely a
can
smart
change every
comment.
week.
Yeah. So I don't have anything, I- I'll just be as frank as I can be, and I'm pretty straightforward, and I don't have any, there's no, um, I'm not looking to be anybody special, and I know I'm not special, right? We're all special. We're all divine beings, and we're all here for this grand awakening so that we can grow our soul and evolve and make better choices this lifetime. Okay. And it's that simple. And you go through initiations, and somebody, and I shared this person with you, which I will not bring up here on the show, but he said to me, "You sounds like you're going through an initiation." I didn't understand what that meant even.
Mm-hmm.
So I walked around pretty much my whole life knowing that I was completely different and didn't understand why I was born into the family I was born into, because I felt like I was just such a bubbly, loving, kind. I would give my Christmas clothes away and new earrings. Like I'd bring homeless people home and give them a
Oh,
roof over their head for the night. I mean, stray animals. I was just that kind of person. But I was told that they used drugs to get me to go out on missions. So they had me addicted to cocaine at a very young age. And this may sound very odd, let me go back a little bit. When you awaken and you're told that you hold this DNA, Magdalene DNA, and all the stories that we've been told about Mary Magdalene and Jesus and this and that, it just simply isn't the way we've been told. And I won't go into that even more. I'm here to change the story. I'm here to say, okay, it's time for the divine feminine to truly stand up and walk. And, because I mean, we all have our own darkness that we have to face. And I never, I never thought that I never considered the depth of what I was involved in until after I had my awakening and went through this dark night of the soul to see how I was participating in things that were very hurtful and harmful, not just to myself, to my family and others. So it was a painful process to have to look at and take full responsibility. I say that because it's so easy for me to say, oh, well, I was abducted and I was targeted and all these things happened to me. And some would suggest we make these agreements prior to coming in. I don't know that to be absolute true or not. I think that there are,
I would say yes.
yeah. Um, you don't know when it's going to happen. It's like, when you grow up and you're 45 years old, you're going to go through you don't know that.
Right.
And so you're going by your human mind, because now it's, you want to defend yourself and protect yourself,
Mm-hmm.
not realizing. And I do believe that people, when people have an awakening, that you will be tested to see if you're going to give in. And yeah, and I fought to the best I could with trying to understand. I went back to drugs, this and that. And then I can tell you that I've been off drugs. And Simon Park said, Ida, you broke programming. And I did break programming, because the minute I said absolutely not again, ever, and I have not looked back.
All right.
I
So
was,
when did the cocaine usage start? How old were you exactly?
I was 12 years old.
12.
I was
Okay.
12. My
How?
first handler, my they call them handlers.
Right.
He was reptilian. So I've dealt with so if we okay, so I know that all kind of sounds dark and this and that, but I was being trained for my mission. I will not discuss that here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But I will tell you, it wasn't fun going through, and it's almost it's a difficult thing for me to eat. I'm still working through that,
Mm-hmm.
understanding what that was all about, like why it happened the way it did.
So
Um,
how did it start? Basically, hey, try some of this. How were
well,
you
I mean,
introduced?
I grew up in a family of 12. My mother was a single mother. My mother had
Oh
9
my
children.
gosh.
She had 9 children by her. So I don't know how familiar your audience is or your listeners, but bloodline families, and not just, let's forget even the bloodline. There are families um, that are monitored for generations. I mean, back to biblical. I mean, Just imagine that.
Mm.
And so my mother was the youngest of, she was the only child. I'm sorry. Her mother was the youngest of 13
Wow.
and had my mom. Now I have my mother's grandmother was full Cherokee. Her father, I'm sorry, great grandmother was full Cherokee. Half her her father was quarter Cherokee. She was the 16th. I'm an eighth. She said if you get stuck with the pin, but even though, yeah, if you get stuck with the pin, that's how much Cherokee you have, but you still get the gifts and the and we also know that the Indian a lot of the Indian tribes and they believe in the Pleiades, and
Well, little piece
there's
out.
a great connection to the Pleiades. And I mean, if you look at a lot of their symbolism and the headdresses and the feathers and all of that, and I don't, I know it in my heart, but I don't know how to. There, people can research it and have a
And
look.
I understood too that the Native Americans were specifically suppressed because they are so connected with other realms and everything. So it was just like, oh, we're just gonna again make them small. And okay, is that your understanding?
Well, for sure. And I mean, I can speak to one of my a good friend of mine, Michael Lee Hill, who I'll mention here, and people can look into him. You know, he was contacted. He was told also that he held the DNA of Enki. So if people are familiar with Enki and Lil, you know, Anu means king, the father of Enki and Enlil. Enki's mother, her name was Ida. She was Pleiadian. I could keep going, but I won't. And
There's
so,
so much, right? So much.
yeah, it's just it's too much to do. And but I definitely want. I know that people are probably going to like, okay, she jumped around and said so much, but the first place I would say people could go to Andrew Bartis and look for our galactic history. I think that you have to use your intuition and definitely intuit the information and decide if it makes sense to you. I don't necessarily agree with everything anyone says,
Mm-hmm.
but there is information that's being shared. And if we take the time to do our own research
Mm-hmm.
and more importantly, go within and sit still and just ask your higher self, connect with your soul self. And I use divination, I use pendulums, I use, different things to get information. And the best information always comes when I'm sitting still and I'm silent and I can just
Nice.
quiet
And
the mind a little bit.
let me
Yeah.
put in there too this whole the Palladians, there have been even in the past when I first started, how do I even say this? When I first started becoming tapped into the Great Awakening, knowing that there was so much, in terms of politics and education, and then beyond that, the lizard people. And I just want to communicate to everyone out there, this, I'll use the word shit. This shit is real, even though there's a part of you that goes, oh, lizard people. Oh my gosh. And just hearing Ida talk, I mean, it's hard to imagine. It's hard to really take it in. Yet I think for me too, taking in everything in this 3D world first and seeing the truth of that opened the door for me to accept more. Does that make sense how I said that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, some people, I was, because I had a
Right.
spontaneous Kundalini activation, I wasn't prepared for, I mean, I was blown wide open.
That
I
would
had
have to be right.
actually had somebody come in, I was waitressing at the time, and a
Oh my
man that
gosh.
was, I think, I don't know if it was FBI, CIA, what 3D letter agency he worked for, but he said to me, he said, you got it. You got it. He said, what are you going to do now? And I had no idea what he meant by that.
Try.
So I do know that, there's been this, and I don't even like saying it, but I'm going to say it for the sake of, we know that the divine feminine has been suppressed. Like there's a
Yes.
concerted effort to keep women
Mm-hmm.
under the thumb of the masculine. Let's just say masculine, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they are uh feminizing men. Women are becoming more um operating from their masculine side. Now I'm a fire sign, so I have a masculine soul for sure. But I appreciate my feminine, and I know that I'm, So,
so let's go back to you. So in a family of 12, being a part of a family line, let's call it that. And then at 12, being introduced to cocaine, where did your handler come from? How did that come into the
okay,
picture?
so I met him. So everything, I can say that everything is definitely orchestrated.
Okay.
And I met the guy. His name was Claude Edgar Wood. We called him Bubba. And all the women wanted him, but he wanted me. And he was superly, so it's common for people with high reptilian DNA. And I know he is reptilian because I can see them. Now, I didn't see him then, but I knew there was something, like I could feel the energy, but now I'm actually able to see.
So at 12 years old, he targeted you or came into your life with your family? How integrated into your family? How did that happen?
Well,
knowing that your mom was also a single mom.
Yeah, well, I mean, he basically, I wouldn't call it love now, but back then, growing up in a family, being sexually abused, went through trauma-based mind control, to create this character. And if you want to say, I don't consider myself to have multiple personalities. I don't feel like I'm, no. But I do know that there were certain shifts in my personality when I would get around certain people.
Okay.
And I think that I do believe I have implants without a doubt. I know that. I know it because I've had readings by people that are able to see in the bio.
So
and I also can see, Simon, I have one that's in my eye. I don't know if I mentioned this to you when we talked before, but I was left at the hospital for 3 days. And my oldest sister, and I won't mention her name, but she is definitely reptilian. She said that I was left at the hospital because I had an infection in my right eye. And I know that now I know, I didn't understand then, that this is the eye because I can see it. Whenever I look at, when I was a kid, when I would lay out in the sun, I would see this. It looks like this, Eden, and let me just show you real quick.
Okay.
And then there's things hanging off of it, and there's like these little nodes. And it's called a scorpion implant. Simon Parks told me that's what it was. And it kind of looks.
Ugh. So that's in your eye or near your eye?
I can see it right now as I'm talking to you when I look in the light. If I roll my eyes around, I could see it even clearer. It's like right here, right here. I mean, it looks like it's right here to me, but it's actually inside.
Right. Oh my gracious.
Yeah. So, and it's connected. I'm confident it's connected to my third eye, and I've been augmented for what I came here to do. I'm past that. I've gotten to the point in my healing and spiritual development.
Okay.
I see everything that I experienced as a blessing, even though it wasn't fun to go through. I wouldn't have turned my life around the way I did, the way I have. I mean, I live in a beautiful apartment. I live in St. Augustine, Florida. I have a small cleaning business. I'm going to be creating an online business and to help people because I do have a lot of information that I can help people to shift through their and really just self-actualize. Realize that you're a divine, powerful being, and we don't, we could get scared of our own light. Like what I was manifesting out of thought. I started writing a book called Little Sisters Lost Soul, which I will finish at some point. I heard angelic music playing through the speakers when I wrote the introduction of the book, and I'd be glad to share it if you're interested. It's pretty interesting. You want to hear it?
Yeah, what do you mean? Oh yeah, go ahead.
Introduction of the book.
Oh yeah, let's do.
Well, the reason, and I don't mean to keep bringing him up, but as much as I was very, I want to say angry because I felt like he could have helped me a lot more, and I'm not going to go into that, but he chose not to, and that's okay.
Okay, for Simon, exactly.
I'm sorry?
For Simon helping you mean?
Yes, he did. He did. And I'm thankful for that. And I, one day I might have the opportunity to apologize to him because I was very frustrated. But I also know when somebody's trying to use mind control on me. I mean, I'm pretty in tune, tapped in. So, and I don't like it. And that's that, for whatever reason. Anyways, I wrote the introduction of the book. I was being abducted, and every time they would return me, I'd wake up reciting these words. So it's called Little Sister's Lost Soul, and it goes like this. I've always known that I've been blessed with a spiritual eye. I say that with everybody humility I'm humanly capable of. The challenge always is removing my ego and feminine wiles. As I've just recently discovered, I've denied everything I was because everything I was human. And I didn't like what thoughts were created through my mind of flesh. I know my true self, that is the Spirit of God that dwells and lives within me. I am in love with me. When I pray and practice meditation, I'm at my best to stay spiritually conditioned for a higher learning, which only the God of my understanding can teach me in this beautiful gift of life and fill my spirit with the spirit of love and truth. When I stay in the spirit of God, not of the flesh, I do his will, not mine, because my will is his. Higher learning. I was trapped and consumed by the insanity of my mind, jailed from the freedom to have peace in my sleep, to feel safe by those that were supposed to protect me, or valued by people that had no concept of what the innocence of a child meant, and rightfully what should have never been taken from me. Born into a family I didn't feel I belonged from a very small child. People who didn't love me, though I loved them anyways. I'm at a place in my life where I'm meeting Aida for the first time. This experience will be never ending, because as I believe to be a truth for myself, life has always changed. The goal is to practice being in the moment and living your purpose to the best you are humanly capable. I hope by writing this book, I'll be able to help other men and women who may struggle from the pain and healing from sexual, physical, and emotional abuse or any other of its kind. Unknown value and esteem will no longer exist when we together can heal from the sadness in our hearts and make a difference in each other's lives through simply giving of oneself. I find that to be very simple. A kind thought, which can change into being a kind word and become a kind act. That to me is simply extending love to another human being.
So that whole diatribe kept reciting in your head.
I would wake
Oh
up
my
saying
gosh.
it. And I'm like, what is it? Like, I wake up talking out of my sleep and I'm like, what is this? And when I finally sat down at the computer to write, I'm pretty sure that I said it or for word by word, but it may be written a little bit differently in my book. I haven't finished the book, but I have the cover done, and it's going to be restructured because so much has changed since I first started writing. But I definitely know that my higher self, my soul self, was coming forward to say, in spite of all of everything that's happened, if I help one person in writing this book, I've served my purpose, Eden. Right? We think that we have to be doing these big, grandiose things and just holding a door open for an elderly or helping somebody get their, any kind act, anything kind. Kindness and nice is different. And I like to iterate that to people.
Oh, let's hear it.
Well, I mean, nice is getting along to, when you're being nice, you're being nice because and when you're being kind, it's coming from the heart. It's a kind, there's a grace that's given in that. Where when you're being nice because you don't want to rock the boat. You don't want to, step out of line. You don't want to offend somebody. And, I offend people a lot, and I do. and I'm being
good
honest.
For you.
Yeah. People, I have some close, and I will say Facebook. I mean, I've met some amazing women on Facebook. I think we'll use the word star seeds are planted all over the place,
especially now, right?
Different places, and we vibrate at a certain vibration in order to extend that out to help others, and sometimes people come in your path that aren't prepared to hear, the truth, and I just feel like I don't need to go out, because when I first woke up, Eden, I was telling the bus driver, the school, the cab driver. I mean, I was seeing reptilians shift in front of me constantly. I had shadow beings chasing me. I mean,
right. It was reality for you. So, hey, let me tell you guys what I'm seeing.
let me tell you, I was abducted at a bus stop one time. I went to go see my Aunt Rose to ask how my father ended up in this country
Mhm.
from Palestine. And I was followed. They didn't want me to find out. And I believe my father was used in some type of something. Like he stayed away from us. He'd come around on holidays and stuff. He really didn't help my mom out. But I've been told that he was Elohim. I don't know to know for sure. And I will continue doing my, because Simon Park said, Ida, your father always knew who you were. He just didn't want to interfere in your spiritual development. Therefore, he never said nothing. And I think my father was trying to survive himself, like figure out what he was, he was one of these men that women were just drawn to him. Very handsome, and had the biggest heart. But he grew up. There was a lot of war and stuff going on in Palestine. I mean, I don't know the whole, yeah. But anyways, I don't know. I could keep going, just different stuff. Eden, I'm so thankful to be on here. If anything that anybody gets out of this um, show, when you decide to listen to it, uh, that know that love surrounds you always, and we can always choose a higher octave of love in any moment. And even when that's why meditation and breathing and long walks and having an animal is so lovely if you choose, um, to keep us connected to a heart in nature and grounded, because what we're seeing out there is nothing but literally a hologram, a matrix. For us to have these experiences so that we could learn and grow and spiritually evolve. And I'm really hoping that people realize that some people are really attached to religious dogma. And I would encourage people to look up the word religion, start looking at the etymology of words and what they mean. Religion means to bind. And I would say to everybody, what wants to bind you? One, because we know through the birth bonds and being baptized and all these things, these are, we're offering ourselves up doing that. And when we do that we take our children to be baptized, it's not what you're thinking. It's a ritual that you really, unless you do the research, um, you'll find that it's not what we've been taught what it means. And
With that, do you mind talking about the word soldier for a second too?
sure, so soldier, I mean, that look at the word soul die.
I know that was when you
Okay.
told me that before. I was like, oh my gosh, I've never noticed that
Well, I
before.
mean, I have these little epiphanies and I just think of like, okay, no, I don't believe in the military. I'm sorry. I think the military is Luciferian, at least satanic for sure. I mean, this is just my thoughts. When you're going into countries, people go in, these young men, women, they get recruited into these, Marine, whatever. They're looked at as noble, whatever. And they're offering themselves up and they're losing and they're going in. Why would I ever think it's okay to go into another country and take thousands of people's lives? Like, I'm just, no, I don't agree with it. And there's a
Well,
lot of money. It's a big blood sacrifice is what it is. And there's a lot of money that's made from people participating in these things. And
mhm.
So
Well,
I
when you're
don't
talking about
believe,
moving towards love, that is contradictory towards that. So and who knows what's going to happen if that's all going to change in a sense. I don't know, but
what do you
I
mean?
hear what you're
You
saying.
feel that I was being contradictive? When I,
Oh
is it,
no, that it's that the military is contradictive in terms to us moving to the heart and being heart centered. That this military right now that on one level kills and Canada specifically controls. So I'm just wondering, especially in America, with the big changes that we're going to make, the impact of the military, if there's going to be military impact for good. I'm curious with what that is all potentially going to look like.
okay, Eden, can I just say something to you?
Sure.
So people can look up, I mean, our laws are called Draco laws. Let me just be real
Mhm.
frank
Yep.
about this, okay? And I know for sure that the being that we know as Jesus is a reptilian, a Draco reptilian for that matter. Okay. And nobody can tell me otherwise because I know who I am and I know who I'm connected to. And I love him. I do. He taught me a great deal, much different than what you think. It's not love and light and everything, peace be upon all this stuff. No, it's about becoming self-actualized. It's about owning your responsibility for every choice you're making. We're taking a class on the Akashic Records. Everything's recorded, guys. Every thought, deed, and action. So it doesn't say, that doesn't mean let's be good just because we're being watched and the big man in the sky is gonna get it. No, it's our own self-worth, or I'm sorry, value, what we value in our own morals. Not what, it doesn't. I think this is just, as a child, let me just tell you a quick story. I was 5 years old and I took this boy's bike. He was a twin to a female.
So
And
you
I
took
never,
it like you took it. Or I'm
well,
just
no,
going to
I
borrow it
asked
for a
him if I
second.
could ride his bike.
Okay.
And I was so excited because my mother couldn't afford to buy me a bike, or if she could, she didn't. So I was excited to ride a bike.
Okay.
And I was at my grandmother's house, but I'd never been in this neighborhood before because I wasn't allowed to play outside the backyard, the fenced-in backyard. But one day I decided, because I've always been a very curious little girl, I would just kick off, and that's a whole nother thing. And he let me ride his bike, and I got on that bike and went to an underground sewer tunnel. I had never been in that neighborhood. It's like I flew on that bike like I knew where I was going, but I'd never been there before.
Mm-hmm.
And I dropped the bike and I walked down into the tunnel and walked that tunnel all the way to the end. And when I got to the end of that tunnel, it was pitch black. All I could feel was and the vibration of the walls, pitch black, but something took me there. And I got to the end of the tunnel and my foot went down into this, like the separation of the tunnel. And I was taught going to church with my grandmother that God is above and the devil's below. And if you do bad things, the devil, you'll be in trouble.
Did you grow up Catholic?
No, I grew up, well, my grandmother's Methodist. She used to take me to this huge church in Washington, D.C. And my father was Greek Orthodox, but neither one of my parents pushed that stuff. I mean, we had holidays and stuff like that, but it was kind of just, yeah. Anyways, long story short, I remember saying, God, if you get me out of here, I promise I'll never do this again. Because I knew I took that little boy's bike and I told him I wasn't going far and I'd be right back. Well, I believe that was an initiation into the underworld. This realm that we live in is not what we think by far. And the being that's running this realm is running the matrix. And I don't know if he sits on the seat of good, light and dark. I'm not sure. I have my own thoughts about it and I won't go into that. But I do know Simon Parks mentioned that usually something will happen around the age of 5. And it just so happened that I had this. So I think that was an initiation into the third dimension, and that I was being from the age, because the sexual abuse started at a very young age, all the way up until I met my first handler, Bubba. Excuse me. Then I got clean and sober. And then they connected me with another. Every time I would start to get my life and get my mind right, I would be, run into another man that I thought I loved because I was seeking for love outside of myself constantly. Right. Through the sexual abuse, I confused sex with love. And that's what they do. Bloodline family. I mean, I could get real deep about this. It's very, everything is introverted and it's upside down and it's not a good thing. Mm-hmm. And, when you're as a child and you're confused with sex and love, and that's the only, what you call love, the only attention that you're getting, you accept it because you're just craving. You want to be loved and feel safe. So I started dating this other guy who, cut my hair off and told my sister, if you don't take her, I'm going to kill her. They've been trying to get rid of me for a long time. I married a guy in the military. He tried to kill me. They moved him to Jamaica and now he's, had no consequence to what he did. Pretty bad. So but I'm here and I'm alive. And so we have a lot of challenges in our lives, people, but you got to just keep
You got to own them.
getting up and getting on your feet and saying, you know, I'm 54 years old. I'll be 55 this year. And this year is an 11 year for me. So if you add my birthday, my first day, or August 8/7 plus 2023 reduces down to an 11. Master, year of mastery and really taking full responsibility for everything that I've experienced, because I chose it. At some level I chose it. And whether, you know, I want to, there are times when I still get, you know, in my mind and I'm like, okay, so and so, you know, they did this or they did that. And
Yeah.
then when I really sit with it and I think, okay, it's not what other people are doing to us, it's how we're responding and reacting to the situation. And that's why, and meditation is really, since we started this class, become a big thing for me, because I used to meditate and then I stopped. Like I kind of walked
Okay.
away. I was like, yeah.
Well, this so I talked to Ida before about leading the Just Be practice. So I want to state this out loud. We're going to do it. And then if she's not comfortable with it in the end, I'm going to lead one. So just to give a little intro with that, why don't we go there and see what you've come up with? I don't know if it's like, I feel like for you, a meditation would be really great. What are you feeling?
I mean, I'm willing to. I just don't have the most soft voice to. Yeah, we can.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah,
Don't you have the
I
energy,
can. I
girl?
think I can do it. I think so. I
Okay. So
mean,
I'm,
what
I'm
I do. So I'll share what I do when I. I mean, it's not the only type of meditation I do, but it's a great quick one. So we don't want to rush through it, but it's a
beautiful.
great one just to get grounded and get in your heart. So
Hey, woman, this is perfect. And you talk to me too. I don't typically do this sort of thing. You said to me, and I'm like, I feel within every fiber of your being. And I also feel like the show is going to help kick you off in terms of your work in ascending. So go for
well, I
it.
appreciate that.
Just
And
be
so I want
practice.
everybody, first off, to take a deep breath. We're going to do
Okay.
it 3 times. We're going
All
to
right, you
take
see
deep
me.
breaths, deep belly breaths, right? One more time. Plant your feet on the ground below you, whether you're sitting in a chair, on a couch, wherever you are, sitting down. Straighten your spine, sit up. Have your feet planted on the floor and imagine just vines of beautiful green vines coming out of your feet, going into the earth, just growing down into the earth, rooted into the earth, all the way down, 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 far down as you can imagine. And you get to visualize a pink crystal, loving, healing energy emanating off the crystal. This is an invitation to invite love back up, all the way up through Earth, Terra, some call Gaia, all the way up through your feet, all the way up. Imagine that pink, beautiful light illuminating every cell of your body, your cell, every organ, going through all the way up into your legs. And imagine from your root chakra all the way up to your crown chakra, a tube. And that some of this energy is going through that tube, and also, so imagine it going up your spine through this tube, all the way up, and emanating out to every cell. Just slowly moving up, all the way up, all the way up. All your chakras, up through your throat chakra, crown chakra, up through the sun, through the central sun, all the way to source. Your offering is divine love, gratitude, source. There you meet a white light, a golden white light. These the gold white light and the pink energy just intertwining, coming back down, pulling it down, loving, intelligent, safe energy just coming down. Embrace you and envelop your body. All the way down through the sun, through your crown chakra, down to your heart. Now we're in our heart. Imagine your favorite flower or a leaf just kind of blowing. So you're inside your heart. You see this leaf. There's nothingness, but this leaf or this flower, petals, whatever you choose, just imagine it just softly going back and forth till it settles. It settles in your heart. Now you're in this energy, this pure love, source energy, Mother Earth, connect. Mother, Father, God, coming together in unity and wholeness within you, knowing that you're safe, that you're loved, you're protected, you're divine, perfect just as you are. We give gratitude, thankfulness, the opportunity to extend love and kindness to ourselves and to others. Rub your hands together if you want. Build up some energy. Face them down to the earth. Sending gratitude and love. All beings in all timelines, dimensions, universes, multiverse. All the way out. That's it.
I really liked rubbing my hands together towards the end. Like that felt exactly what needed to be. So thank you. How do you feel about that?
I did better than I thought I might have. But
I think it was great.
Well, you know, I've just started meditating again. So anybody that wants to check out and learn about Dracos, Reptilians, more galactic stuff, check out James Bartley. Be prepared because you're going to, I'll send you some stuff, Eden. You can check it out.
Okay. So James Bartley.
James Bartley.
Okay.
I had him on my show. He's pretty amazing. Maybe you'll come on my show one day.
Oh, that'd be so nice.
Yes, guys, if you don't mind, can I give myself a little
shout out? Of course.
Yeah, Conscious Heart Solutions, Aida Farhat. Now, it's been about 6 months. I'm preparing to restructure it because I really want to get educated and learn more about our galactic history. And I'll be doing that with you, Eden. And I'd love to have you come on my show.
Oh, thanks.
Once we get through this course and we feel really, we have some more information that we can have a great dialogue and discussion about.
So shall we leave it at that?
I think so. I appreciate you, Eden.
Oh, I appreciate you too. Appreciate that. All right, you people. So keep with me the following weeks. We're going to go into more galactic stuff and just spiritual stuff in general. Ida, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate you today.
And again, if anything I've said, just return to your heart. When you're operating from your heart intelligence instead of this, it gets you a lot further along, and you'll find that people will come into your field that are there to share in that space. So have a fantastic day. Okay, thank you, Eden.
All right, hang on just a minute. See you later, everybody. See ya. Listen to you. See you later. Yay. So cool of you to be here. I went from being off most social media to being on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, or True Social, and you might be watching this on YouTube, Rumble, or BitChute. Or you might be listening to this on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. I'm on over 19 directories at this point. So connect, comment, subscribe, like. Oh, and my intention is to have a new episode out Wednesday of each week. Oh, Lordy, more to come.